You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Exploring the multiverse of pop culture.
This is Pod Casserole,
An Adam and JP show.
For the first time ever in the history of Adam and JP, allow me to welcome you to Pod Casserole. I am Jay Patrick. That is Adam.
It's here. Can you believe it?
Months of work.
Pod Casserole is here.
It is here.
We have videos. We have a Patreon set up. All kinds of goodies. But the good thing about it is it's all in the same place as before. AdamandJP.com and all of our social media at AdamandJP. You can still find it there, just under new styling, new branding.
Yeah, just go to AdamandJP.com, like Adam said. You'll see it all.
Yeah.
Your feed hasn't changed. If you're hearing this and you're like, what?
What is this?
I just listened to the Adam and JP show last week. Well, it's the same feed.
And you may have seen changes in the past few weeks. We're going a little bit different route, a little more, not timely, but less timely, more timeless.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, we should have called it the Timeless Podcast.
I'm sure.
Never mind.
Scrap
We're
it.
doing it all over again.
New. But yeah, it's here. It's time.
Should we tell a little bit about how we landed?
Yeah, totally.
On this name?
We should.
You named this
accidentally.
like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
You named this podcast.
Because when we started this in 2011, we've been doing the geek culture, the pop culture thing, for a long time. And as it went on, we still have done that, but maybe not 100% of the time, maybe 90%, and then 80%, and 70%. We talk more about everything. We talk about, some things are still in the pop culture realm, but aren't necessarily geek culture. And now we can incorporate all of that. And we have many different ingredients in this podcast, and many ingredients such as a casserole would have. So we coined the term a pod casserole, and here we are.
If you want to hear my favorite explanation of what this show means, what the name means, go watch our Patreon video on our YouTube page or at our Patreon site, which is patreon.com/podcasserole. Now, I know what you're thinking. Man, Patreon, you're trying to get money. Not really.
No.
I mean, there's things you can do there if you want to. This show isn't going anywhere. It's still going to be twice a week. Still going to be free. We're never going to charge. We are going to do bonus episodes in the future for Patreon, but that doesn't take away from what we do normally.
And much like a Kickstarter or a GoFundMe or anything, these if you give money, you do receive gifts and prizes back.
That's true. And you can find all that at patreon.com/podcasserole, all one word, which is something I ran into. Like, initially I thought it would be all one word, but it makes sense that it's Pod Casserole, like in the logo.
Yeah.
So I had to go back into everything I've built over the last few weeks and change it all to 2 words. So if you see it and I missed one, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's all the topics that we want to talk about and try to do it in a way that is timeless,
right? I
guess. And we went through many, many, many name ideas.
We did.
I still have a list of names.
Should we name those off now, I guess?
Oh, no. What if we find out, that's what we should have gone with?
No, let's talk about it. We can give all listeners, if they want to use one of these, they can do it.
If you want to go create your own podcast and name it any of these, feel free.
Because to be honest, anyone can podcast for a certain quality. You can talk about anything you want, but the toughest part about doing it is finding a name.
That's right, Adam. Anyone can podcast,
but
not anyone can podcast a role.
Oh, I think that was a good joke.
Where I thought I had them written down here.
Is it like a big recipe book? What do you have there?
Well, I'm going back through my notes.
Julia Child's over here.
I don't know.
That's a dated joke.
Them.
I'm sorry, man.
Hardy. Well, I thought I had them written down.
Well, there we go. Never mind. That didn't happen.
What were some of the names we thought about?
We thought of a few. We tried to go for alliteration for a while. We're big fans of Marvel Comics and Stan Lee, so Peter Parker, Bruce Banner, Reed Richards. We tried to go for
we did almost go with Peter Parker.
Peter Parker cast. But stuff like that, I forget the actual names, but alliteration was big to us. I remember for a while, for like 3 seconds, I thought Classless Chaps was fantastic.
I still think that's great.
So if you start a podcast, you're like, what do I name it? Name it Classless Chaps, courtesy of me.
You'll love it.
Yeah, I think that's hilarious.
I don't think I have my list. I thought I had it.
That's all good. But we settled, and I agree with it, with Pod Casserole. It sounds weird at first, but you know what? Everyone knows what a casserole is. You know what we do here on the formerly Adam and JP show, so why not have a Pod Casserole?
And so here we are.
Your daily dish.
I want to thank this fantastic new logo design we have. We used our buddy Adam Buttry, Buttry.design. If you like our logo, that's the kind of work he can do for you. Find out more at Buttry.design. Brooklyn for cutting a new intro for us. That's our old.
That was very good.
Our old friend Brooklyn.
She's been around for a long time.
She has.
Yeah.
So she came back in and recorded a brand new intro for us.
Yeah.
We call her up every now and then. I
Hey,
need 3 words. I need 3 words said.
Give me a phoner.
So here we are, and it's exciting.
Yeah.
And there was something else I wanted to say about the Patreon. Oh, our archive shows.
Oh, yeah.
So we are archiving past Adam and JP stuff at patreon.com/podcasserole. So if you go there, there is a small monthly charge, and as our archives go up weekly, you can access. It's not new content, but it's older content.
Yeah.
And occasionally, at least once a month, Adam and I will record a Patreon exclusive episode that will also be in that price range.
Yeah. I mean, everything, it ranges from $1 per month
Yeah.
up to, I believe, $50, where you can pretty much be a part of the show.
You can be a part of the show,
Yeah.
and that is really designed for if you have no idea about podcasting or broadcasting and you want a little help. We've come up with a way to help you achieve your broadcasting dreams and be part of our show at the same time. But that's very limited.
Yeah. It's a win-win.
I don't got a lot of time, but I've got a little bit.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, there's like $1. It's like a tip jar. If you just want to go there,
Ba-ding.
throw in $1 a month, it would be greatly appreciated. And if you watch our video, I mean, we're absolutely serious. It's to update equipment.
I mean, the microphones we're speaking in right now are 4 years old?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got a broken windscreen.
Yeah. I mean, it gives you an idea. These were probably 4 years old when we got them.
Oh,
technology-wise.
that's true. And props to you. You put that video together.
Thank you.
Which is great.
It was fun.
You
Yeah.
shot that video.
It was good to do.
I wish you would take the outtakes and make a new.
I thought about making like just a crazy one.
Yeah.
Just like the one we shouldn't show.
Yeah, right.
The Red Band Patreon trailer.
Well, shit.
Pretty much. You said some funny things. You did.
Did I?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like Dr. Pepper. I'm pretty sure you said that at one time.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did. Because you know how editing goes. With audio or video, you're seeing or hearing the exact same thing over and over, and it begins just droning in your head for a while.
Oh, I know.
It's pretty funny.
I know. Like, well, I won't tell that story. Maybe one day I'll tell that story.
Okay.
But yes, I feel your pain.
So it's
in
possible
editing.
this is the first time hearing our show. So if so, welcome. Thank you.
Yes. Especially if you found this through the Patreon page.
Yeah.
Because honestly, that's what I was thinking Patreon could do for us. Not make us rich beyond our wildest dreams, but actually expose us to an audience that maybe hasn't found us. Because if you go back and listen to a few episodes ago, we talked about why we were doing the name change. And the whole idea of this is to expose ourselves.
Pretty much.
To strangers.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a little bit weird.
Well, it's been my goal since youth.
Yeah. But here we are. As we spoke of, I mean, and podcasting every week is fine. It's something we've always done. We put out at least 2 episodes a week now. But instead of being so timely, where this week is documenting what has happened the past week, why not make it timeless? Make it where you can hear an episode from 6 months ago today and still have the same effect to you.
But at the same thing, though, if you've listened to the last few weeks where we've kind of adopted this theory, we still, I mean, and I think we got a lot of response early on that we were going to completely abandon what we do,
Right.
and we don't. I mean, you go back and listen to the last 3 episodes, there's current talk, there's current references, but I think the bulk of the episode you could listen to 10 years from now and still get the same same
just the
from it.
majority of it. I mean, the old segment we had, Gamers Corner, the last half of the show for the most part was at least 15 to 20 minutes of video game news and new releases, which was fine. But like I said before in a previous episode, odds are if you listen to this show, you know how a podcast works, you know how to download that and listen to it, and you're a fan of video games, odds are what I would tell you, you'd already heard 5 times over. I'm just regurgitating info to you that you already know. So what's the point at that point?
Yeah.
There's no need for that.
I agree with
So
you.
let's give you more fun things that are timeless.
And if you like the old stuff, go to patreon.com/podcasserole. There, right. And I'm trying to think what we have up right now. I know we've got one of the old radio shows up when we actually did the Adam and JP radio show.
Right.
And an old AJP podcast where you talk about loving chocolate milk.
Oh, wow. That must have been a long time ago.
No, I know that's in there. But yeah, so this is hopefully you like what we're about to do. Stick with us.
Yeah.
If you liked us before, none of that's going to change.
Yeah, hang with us.
We're still going to do basically the same
Hang for
thing.
the evolution. And if anyone does miss Gamer's Corner, here's a little insight for you, a little secret, a little behind the curtains. GameSpot.com every week. There you go. That's where all information, all new releases and news came from GameSpot.com.
Worded exactly how Adam would present it on the show.
I wish they weren't that stupid.
So are you going to reveal where you get Adam's Ghost?
No, that's my own. That's my own directory.
We'll still do Adam's Ghost,
I
right?
have, for sure, if you want to.
Okay.
Yeah, I have investigators throughout the world because Adam's Ghost is timeless.
It is timeless.
Yeah,
that's true. Who doesn't love ghost stories?
Exactly.
So that's our goal.
Yeah,
timeless content.
I think so.
Yeah,
stuff we do now can be heard in 2019 in May, and a show from February 2017 will still make sense.
I will tell you though, going back and listening to some of the older episodes,
yeah.
It has been fun to hear us talk about things. Well, I mean, the one I did this week.
Donald Trump says today he wants to be president. That's ridiculous.
That'll never happen. What a dumbass. What a bag of dicks.
That's pretty good.
Not my joke. What were we talking about? Oh, we were talking about how you say, who watches HBO anymore?
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Because before the big shows came out, it
was
that's
hurting. How it was. It was kind
of
of this kind of waste. Though they'd had, Sex and the City was obviously a huge show.
I guess
The Sopranos was a huge show.
Yeah.
But Game of Thrones hadn't come out yet.
Yeah.
So
this is pre, I guess not pre-True Blood. Close to, well, it's around the birth of True Blood, maybe.
Yeah. Well, it would have been like True Blood would have been going on. But that was Showtime, right?
No, that was HBO.
Was that HBO?
Yeah.
Then you were right. Who's watching HBO? So just interesting to hear our take on some things. Yeah. And you'll get to experience more of that as we dig out these archived shows.
Because I have a certain maybe 5 podcasts I listen to every week, and when those are out of podcast episodes, new ones, I have troubles because the feed only goes so far back, and I'm all caught up. And that's always a problem I have, and I try to find new podcasts I like, and they never stick with me. So it's good to find ones you like and go way, way, way back. Imagine if your favorite show, you only could see the first or the last 20 episodes of that, but you wanted to see the previous 300. Well, now, now you can.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can.
So, this is it.
Yeah.
This is Pod Casserole.
Right.
This is what we're sticking with.
Welcome.
Like it, dislike it, it'll grow on you.
Yeah, whichever.
Look at it like this. It's kind of like, when like new cast members come on Saturday Night Live and you don't really like them, but then eventually they become the cast members that you like?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what we are.
And even if you don't like them, they get killed off. Think Seven from, what's it called? Married Children. There we go. Remember Seven?
Oh, yeah.
The small kid that was on there for a little bit?
Yeah.
And I think he went away eventually.
Right.
It's like that.
So if people don't like us, we'll go away eventually?
Never mind I said Seven. Never mind that at all.
I guess eventually we will.
Yeah, eventually.
Except me. I'm living forever.
I knew it.
Anything else you want to talk about?
That's about it.
In regards to Pod Casserole?
I think we've explained it all. New logo, new intro, new everything.
We don't know how we're going to end the show.
We can do it. I'll make it work. We've had some people from day one of change gave us very positive and very negative feedback. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
That people cannot accept change.
It's split pretty much. 50, much like the country.
Right.
It's split right down the middle.
Yeah.
Like Batman and Catwoman.
Right, yeah.
We're the same.
Yeah.
We're split
right
down the middle.
Why do you think some people are so against change? And some people from the first episode, when we even announced change was happening, and in all honesty, the show didn't change that much.
No,
we were getting negative.
Look, if you want to make that argument, we've been doing this for a while. How about the episodes where we called it a brief history?
Yeah.
A brief history of Filmation, where we talked about Filmation for 30 minutes. Or Creepy Tuesday, where we would spend pretty much the whole show talking about conspiracy theories and stuff. I mean, this isn't a new concept to this show. It's just we're going to be purposeful in trying to create weekly content that you could revisit in the future and be fine with. And it's not so dated.
Yeah.
Which I don't mind a little bit of dated stuff. It makes it fun. I mean, this is where, we can't time travel. We don't know what the future is. And this is a nice little snapshot of where we are today. Plus some fun stuff that you can listen to anytime.
Yeah. Win-win.
That's my theory. Hey, JP, what's your podcast theory? That's it. Snapshot of today.
You should be a professor in podcast theory.
Professor in podcast theory. I like the sound of that.
Yeah, you like that?
Yes, I do like the sound of that. How do we open a school where I can do that?
How about your new second podcast you do? The Professor of Podcast Theory.
How about no?
Podcast 101.
How about my days of second podcast are over?
Yeah, remember those? We all tried that.
It hurts so much. It's too much work.
It hurts so much.
I would not be. You know what? I'll tell you this.
What's that?
I would not be opposed to finding different talent like Josh on Collection Connection and doing that and helping that way. But I'm not doing another podcast.
Yeah.
I was going to at the beginning of this year, and I'm like, no.
Really? You were?
I'm not doing it.
Oh, man.
I want to do a history podcast.
Man.
I really do want to do a history podcast.
Yeah.
But who has the time for that?
Not I or you.
No.
We tried, and that was painful.
Yeah. Maybe, how about this? If we reach a certain level through Patreon, we could do more podcasts.
Yeah. If we can quit our day jobs, we'll do that more.
If we can reach a certain level through Patreon, you can put together fantastic videos, like our Patreon videos.
That's true. We can do that.
We could do more stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, there we go.
I thought about integrating more video in our entertainment.
That was fun. I'll be honest with you, that was pretty fun.
That was good, yeah.
Yeah, and it was
Not a fast turnaround.
Yeah, it was a fast turnaround and not that much work.
No.
That was actually fun to do.
Yeah.
I was apprehensive.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm comfortable here,
behind the mic, off camera.
Yeah, looking however you want to look.
Yeah.
And then standing in front of a camera that was literally 2.5 feet from my face
with a big light in your face.
Yeah, with a huge light in my face. Was a little, a little off-putting.
Yeah.
A little uncomfortable.
Mm.
But I got used to it. Yeah. I think it turned out fine.
Yeah.
I thought about something this week, Adam.
What's that?
And I think we've talked about this briefly in the past. I have not an obsession, but I love going on YouTube and finding videos of abandoned places.
Oh, yeah, it's fun, isn't it?
I love it.
Yeah, I like those as myself.
Like, I can get sucked into that rabbit hole pretty fast.
I saw one recently, a few months ago, and it's an older video of one of our bigger local malls in town here in Middle Tennessee that is shut down for years.
Is it the Bellevue Center?
It is, yeah. Yeah, there's a video of someone walking through that. Now, it was in like 2009 or 2010, so not just a few years after it shut down, but still pretty crazy to see that kind of stuff.
Had nature started to take over?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Like weeds and stuff starting to come through the cracks?
Yeah. Like, how does it happen?
Nature wants to reclaim.
Crazy. That's crazy. Like, do you think whenever someone's working there, they see a weed coming through the mall floor, like, oh, get the whatever it's called, the what's it called, the bygone be bygones? What's it called?
I don't know.
Roundup.
Roundup. That's it. I actually use Roundup. I don't know why I didn't know that.
But it's a security guard. Like, there's a mall weed. Get the Roundup.
There's a mall weed.
I mean, how does that happen? How does nature take over? That makes no sense to me.
I don't know, but I want to open a store now called Mall Weed.
I'm pretty sure the Bellevue Mall had that before it closed.
Maybe. Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Like, if you ever had in your neck of the woods, maybe a mall that you went to back in the day when you were a kid, and it was really nice, and all the stores were fantastic. It was like an arcade and nice department stores. And then as the years went by, they started putting in anything they could just make money off of.
Like the guy I went to high school with that had no friends could rent it out for $150 a month.
Right. So you get there was a bunch of insurance offices, like people selling, or real estate, I guess, not insurance, but real estate. There were a bunch of real estate offices in that mall. There was a taekwondo. Jazzercise. There was a head shop. And you got to think, there was a head shop in a mall that 20 years, it was considered the, upper echelon of malls in Tennessee.
Right.
And then it ended up with head shops and comic book stores.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the computer stores were gone, the music stores were gone.
Yeah.
It was not the place you wanted to hang out.
No, it happened fast. Just the downfall of the American mall. That could be an episode on Pod Casserole.
There you go. I'm writing it down.
Bam. It has a good ring to it. What were you saying, though? You watch videos?
Yeah, so I like to watch video of abandoned places.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
My favorite are the theme parks, though.
Yeah, those are cool.
Yeah. And the saddest are where places get abandoned after natural disasters. Like, you can go and find stuff around New Orleans that's still abandoned from Hurricane Katrina.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, in that same spot we talked about, the Bellevue Center Mall, up until a few years ago, there was a terrible flood there in 2010.
Yeah.
And up until a few years ago, and it still may be the case, some buildings and homes were just vacant because of the flood in 2010.
There was a theater that was abandoned for a long time there.
I mean, it was like 6 years.
After that flood.
And now it's a shooting gallery, but a gun range.
Yeah.
But for 5 or 6 years, it was a huge Regal cinema. And it was just empty. I would love to see the inside of that.
And if you went there, you could, up on the marquee was still the movies that were playing when the mall happened, when the flood happened.
Some I Am Legend stuff right there.
Yeah.
The question is, that was vacant for 6 years and gutted out after a flood. Who in their right mind buys that building and puts any kind of business in there? And how much did it sell for, and how much were the repairs?
Somebody
Can you imagine the mold, the damage, the everything in there?
Somebody with a gun range.
I guess so. You shoot the walls. That's the only thing you could use it for.
I think what made me think about this is the house that I grew up in, that my sister ended up taking over. Then she moved out. Was, in a sense, an abandoned home.
Yeah.
And I was back in, and no one has been there to take care. There's no upkeep was kept over 6-7 years, maybe.
Yeah.
And I was back in that house this past weekend, and you see just how nature really starts to reclaim stuff.
Really?
When it just sits there.
Weird.
Yeah. And it was, I mean, there was mold in there. There was, because you think about it, like if you live in your house now, you're there to take care of it. So if you see water coming down when it rains, I got to get that fixed.
Yeah.
So you patch it up or you put a new roof on, whatever.
I've got a house weed.
Yeah, no one's been there to do that.
Yeah.
So what happens is it just spreads, and then eventually the roof starts to just fall.
It's crazy.
From when it rains.
I think they had a show on Discovery Channel for a bit called The World Without People. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And it showed through years and skyscrapers and houses and buildings. It was all computer generated for the most part. But
After People.
It was a
Wasn't that what it was
simulation.
called?
After People, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, the simulation of what would happen to our streets, to infrastructures, to buildings, to cities. 10, 20, 30, 200 years in the future, what would happen?
Yeah.
It was kind of cool.
And the funny thing, like what I took from that show, and I watched almost every episode of that, was that eventually the rats would leave New York.
Really?
Yeah. Once the rats, I think it would take, I think they said 12 to 15 years for the rats to just go through the city of New York and eat anything that they could eat.
Yeah.
And they would go through the food supply and then eventually leave New York.
That's crazy.
So if everyone vanished tomorrow, in 12 or 15 years, the rats would just leave New York.
Really?
Mm-hmm. But what they didn't take into account is, what if it was like some sort of plague or a weapon of mass destruction, and this sounds a bit morbid, but there were actually bodies for wildlife to feed on.
That's possible.
Yeah. If you can find those videos, especially the Disney parks that have been abandoned, those are really cool.
Oh, I thought you meant videos about the rats eating people.
No, I don't have any of those. I'm sure those are on.
I'm sure
those are on the dark web.
That's on, yeah.
17 years ago was the year 2000, Adam.
That's crazy.
I don't know if you know if that's how years in math work.
Yeah, that's pretty. It's pretty crazy.
That's how it happened.
That's pretty nuts. That makes me feel old, very old.
Yeah, well, you will feel old. Yeah. We're about to go through a list of movies. I want you to keep in mind these are all almost 20 years old.
Wow. If people were in theaters conceiving children, and those kids were born now, odds are they can almost vote.
Interesting.
Think about that.
I did not think of it that way.
That's how I think.
That's what you bring to the table.
Thank you. I think.
So we're going to go back through our favorite movies of the year 2000. This was way more fun than I thought it would be.
Yeah, it was a good blast in the past. Some of my favorite movies, like if I had a top 25 movie of all time list, quite a few of these are on there.
Yeah.
Not going to lie about that.
Yeah. So we'll do that. Our favorite movies from the year 2000.
Next.
Hey everyone, this amazing ESO Network show is brought to you by our fine sponsor, Amazon.com. Please remember to shop Amazon for all your geeky needs, no matter what time of the year it is. All you need to do is go to esopodcast.com/ESO Amazon, or click on the Amazon banner on the ESO Network webpage to go to our e-store. It's the best way to shop and the best way to support this program, and it doesn't cost you anything extra. Okay, that's enough of me babbling for now. Now on with your regular scheduled show.
Who's the honcho around here?
I am. Who are you?
Well, sir, I'm Jordan Rivers, and these here are the Soggy Bottom Boys out of Cottonelia, Mississippi.
I am a man of constant sorrow. I've seen trouble all my days.
That, of course, is a clip from the film Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? One of my favorite movies from the year 2000.
Fantastic movie in general. The soundtrack, the concept, the feel, the actors, the comedy, the script, everything is good.
Is this your favorite George Clooney movie?
Yes, I may say so.
Is this the only George Clooney movie you like?
Yes, I may say so as well. I think that may be.
Of course, the Coen brothers.
Right, yeah. Fantastic. I mean, up until this point, and a few years afterwards, everything they touched was gold. To me, they lost it somewhere along the way.
You think so?
I think. I mean, for
Between
me,
Raising Arizona and Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yeah. For me, somewhere it happened.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
I love Stephen Root in this movie.
Yeah, it's all good.
It's a mighty fine picking and a singing, boys.
It's all great. Even John Goodman's great in here.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which this is the Iliad or the Odyssey?
I think Odyssey?
The Odyssey.
I believe Odyssey.
Yeah. So he would be the Cyclops.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty smart. Well done.
Yeah.
Makes you like bluegrass.
Well, yeah. I mean,
the Soggy Bottom Boys. It's a classic song.
If you don't know bluegrass, then you probably would like.
Yeah. And I despise country music and I hate it with a passion, but I quite enjoy bluegrass. It's like the metal of country music.
Well, it's very relaxing.
Yeah.
It's very soothing.
Like I enjoy it. Like you have to be, don't be alarmed and don't hate me for saying this, but country music kind of takes no talent. Let's be honest.
Well, I think it probably takes some talent.
Yeah, we'll say some. But if you're a bluegrass musician, you are shredding that thing, man. You're killing the banjo.
Yeah.
Killing the mandolin. Like you can play proper.
I do think it's hard. I think the banjo is probably one of the hardest instruments to learn.
Without a doubt, factually, it's
Did
more...
I say instruments or instruments?
Yeah, whichever. It's factually tougher to play those instruments at that level and sing at a so-so, whereas you can take vocal lessons and be a country singer. And some of the top country singers today sound terrible, but they're hits.
And that soundtrack was huge.
Oh, yeah.
So much so, I think they did a follow-up.
Did they do that?
Yeah,
really?
they did like a second soundtrack album for Brother Where Art
Didn't know
Thou.
that.
Yeah.
Huh.
But yeah, George Clooney is great in this movie.
Yeah, he's good. That's
so
the role
good.
he was meant to play, was that role.
Yeah. I'm a Dapper Dan man.
It's good.
My hair.
And the almost sepia feel, like the way those guys shot that and the color and the temperature they have to it, it's got that old grainy feel to it.
Yeah.
It's totally in color, but it's borderline not, if that makes any sense.
I'm the damn paterfamilias.
Really good stuff.
Yeah, if you've never seen Oh Brother Where Art Thou, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, go do that.
Today.
Do it now.
Go find it at a video store near you.
VHS. Have you heard, speaking of VHS, there's I believe in California, last month, it was an art piece. Someone for one night rented out an old storefront, like on the sidewalk, some kind of downtown area in Los Angeles, and for one night, for years, they'd collected these, and he got as many Jerry Maguire VHS copies as he could.
I read about this.
And he opened up a Jerry Maguire store, like a rental store.
Yeah.
And so it was a whole like old school mom and pop rental shop with the rows and the aisles and the categories, but every single shelf, every single spot had a VHS copy of Jerry Maguire.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
I would not want to take that on. So I read it too. Someone did it with, there was another movie someone did it with. I want to say something like Jurassic Park or something like that.
Yeah. Wow.
Which I've got one they can have.
There you go.
Yeah.
Just contribute to it.
And Jurassic Park 3, I have that too.
Ooh, I'm sorry. Sorry for your loss.
What's another film from one of your favorites from the year 2000?
For me, the movie that made me get into filming and made me want to go to film school and appreciate film was...
let me guess. Dude, Where's My Car?
No, that's not the one. Snatch from 2000. Guy Ritchie's Snatch. I love it so much.
Oh, a remake, if you will, of Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
Yeah, it's kind of you could say that. Same writer, same director, Guy Ritchie. At the time, or at least right before, husband of Madonna. Didn't last very long.
The American version of that.
Exactly, yeah. But, I mean, man, with Brad Pitt, one of my favorite roles ever with Brad Pitt. The first time, I think most American audiences, the first time we ever see Jason Statham. And I actually really enjoy him in that movie. I do.
Wait, he would go downhill fast.
Yeah, for me he did, yeah. But just a great story, great concept, amazing cinematography. You owe it to yourself if you haven't seen Snatch to go check it out. It's one of the top movies, in my opinion, of all time.
It is a great movie.
Yeah, I love it.
I prefer the original.
Really?
But,
really?
Yeah.
Really? What'd you call it? I don't know if it's a remake. It's a different story.
Well,
it's a caper and
it's the American
with
version.
Brits.
It's the American version of that movie.
I guess maybe it's
and
not the same story at all.
And it's got Sting in it.
Yeah, I like Snatch much more, but that's my own
not
thing.
WCW Sting.
Right? Yeah. Tantric sex Sting.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Not the Police.
Right.
I'm gonna go. I would recommend if you've never seen Memento.
Right.
Christopher Nolan's Memento from 2000. This may be the first Christopher Nolan movie I watched.
Mm-hmm. It's a good one.
Yeah, and I always think it's Christian Bale, but
really?
it's not.
No. Guy Pearce.
Yeah, it's Guy Pearce. But for some reason, every time I picture Memento, I picture Christian Bale as the guy walking around.
Really?
Yeah, and it's just really, it's Christopher Nolan. It's a mind trip.
Yeah,
you know,
it is, yeah.
It's just like you think this is happening, but it's really this. And is it time travel or what's going on? Is he a ghost? What's the deal? And Memento is a fantastic movie from the year 2000.
It is a mind trip.
Uh-huh.
We're talking Christian Bale. We've got to talk about American Psycho.
Oh.
It's a special one to me. I love, once again, one of my top movies ever. It's the story itself of Patrick Bateman. It's a fantastic character from the start to finish. I was so in love with this movie, I wasn't sure what happened, to be honest, at the end. I went and bought the book by Bret Easton Ellis and read the whole thing start to finish within a few days. And if you're wondering about that, it really doesn't open up the story at all. Whenever you see the movie, you interpret it how you want to. So that's what you...
How do you interpret that movie?
I interpret that he's crazy and never killed anyone in the first place. That's what I did.
I've
watched the movie at least 10 times, read the book, and I take it as Patrick Bateman is just, he is an American psycho. He is crazy, but with the just out-of-body experiences he had with drugs and the life he lived, I think he had ideas of doing that, but never actually acted on it.
Yeah, I think these are daydream fantasies that he has. That these are yuppie daydream fantasies of the 80s.
Right, yeah. And the book, by the way, is much more graphic than the movie.
Very graphic.
Yeah, pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But if you haven't seen American Psycho, I think Christian Bale's best performance. I love it so much. He goes from like classic 80s Reagan-era businessman with slick back hair on Wall Street to an actual...
To chasing naked girls with a chainsaw.
American Psycho, yeah.
And the way he watches her go down the steps and he tries to time it.
Yeah. That's what's cool about the movie. It's pretty smart. As it goes on, the kills he does get more and more ridiculous.
Which, again,
by the end of the movie, he shoots a police car with one bullet and it blows up.
And I think it's also, I think it's a statement about society through the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, much like Natural Born Killers was in the 90s. I think it's a statement about the American culture fascination with ultra-violence at the time.
Not just that, but material things in general.
Yeah,
when you read the book by Bret Easton Ellis, I mean, and it kind of takes on that in the movie itself, but whenever Christian Bale sees someone walk into a room as him, it'll go on for 2 straight pages of what material their jacket's made of, what shade of blue his shirt is, where his tie originated from, the kind of leather his shoes have on the soles.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds terrible, but it kind of gets you in the mind of his crazy, just psychotic overanalyzation of everything.
Yeah.
It's cool.
It is a great movie. Mm-hmm. And they did a follow-up, right?
Yeah.
American Psycho 2?
Yeah, with what's her face from that 70s show, Mila Kunis.
Oh, was she the American Psycho?
She's in college and they're professors, and it's not good.
Was it in the 90s instead of the 80s?
I think that may have been modern times.
Oh, really?
I saw about 30 minutes and I was done.
Yeah. I would recommend Unbreakable from the year 2000, which would have been M. Night Shyamalan's second or third.
I think that was the follow-up to, I think that was the second. The follow-up to The Sixth Sense.
His second major motion picture.
Yeah.
With Bruce Willis once again.
Signs was after that, yeah.
And Samuel L. Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
And this is his, and it's really interesting because, we're going to talk about another movie that came out in 2000 that was a superhero movie. So in the year 2000, you were starting to see kind of the steam start to build for superhero movies. And this is his superhero movie.
Yeah.
And, Mr. Glass pretty much lays that out through the entire movie, and you just don't realize that's what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
He's telling you basically how the plot of this movie will go. And if you've never seen Unbreakable, I don't want to spoil it for you, but basically Bruce Willis is a superhero, and Mr. Glass, played by Samuel L. Jackson, is a supervillain.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And they have totally opposing powers, if you want us to call it that.
Right.
Bruce Willis's character is literally unbreakable, and Mr. Glass is what he sounds like he is.
Yes, he's very breakable.
Right.
I don't know why he tempted so many steps in that movie.
Yeah.
Now that we know who you are, I know who I am.
In a comic, you know how you can tell who the arch villain's going to be? He's the exact opposite of the hero. And most times they're friends like you and me. I should have known way back when. You know why, David? Because of the kids.
They called me Mr. Glass.
That's rough.
He had the glass cane.
Yeah. Pretty cool, though.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And I guess Mr. Glass owns a comic book store at the beginning of it. He's the owner, right?
Man, it's been a long time since I've seen that
because his mom would buy him comic books because
right.
he became, basically homebound pretty early.
Mm-hmm.
And so his mom would buy him comic books. And so that he just channeled that into, and you would think like, oh, if you're a fan of comics, you fall in love with the heroes of the comics.
Because he stands up for the people that are weak.
Right. That's why you want to open a comic book store. Oh, no. He was able to connect with the villains of comic books.
It's got to happen to someone.
And that's how he became a villain.
It's got to happen. How about, we've talked about action movies. We've talked about all kinds of different genres. We haven't spoken of holiday movies yet. You know I like a good Christmas movie.
Oh, wow. I think this is going to be the first one we disagree with.
And you know I love Jim Carrey. So why wouldn't I love How the Grinch Stole Christmas from 2000? Directed by Ron Howard, starring Jim Carrey. It's a fantastic romp, I think. It's a good take on the animated classic, and it brings it into the live-action real world perfectly, I believe.
Hello, little girl. How dare you enter the Grinch's lair! The impudence! The audacity! The unmitigated gall! You've called down the thunder. Now get ready for the boom! Gaze into the face of fear. Booga booga!
Mr. Grinch, my name is Cindy Lou Who.
You see, even now the terror is welling up inside you.
I'm not scared.
I do not like that version.
Not a fan?
Of How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Really? Now, to be fair, I saw this before I saw the animated version, and I like it much more to this day because of that, I think.
Really?
Like, I watched the cartoon, I'm like, it just doesn't do it for me. But the live action, I could quote almost word for word.
You're mean one.
My wife gets sick of it. I quote it a lot. Not just Christmas.
Mr. Grinch.
But
What do you quote?
July the 7th, I'll...
Give me some Grinch quotes.
She's like, hey, Adam, after work, can we meet at Charlie's to go eat? I'm like, my schedule wouldn't allow it. I'll quote it all day.
Wow. That's what you go with.
Yeah. I love the
What are some other quotes?
I won't take your time.
No, please do.
It's all right.
No, I insist.
I'm a psycho. You know, stuff like that.
Wow. No, I say watch the original animated classic.
Boo-hoo. You know, I can go for days.
I've seen that motion picture.
Yeah.
And
that picture, that program.
I did not enjoy it.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
What do you have next on 2000?
I'm going to go with High Fidelity from 2000 with John Cusack and Jack Black.
Yeah.
This is such a John Cusack movie.
Yeah, that's the best I can describe that.
That I loved so much from the 80s.
Yeah.
And so it just made sense that we would get one last real John Cusack movie.
I don't disagree with this, but he doesn't do it for me.
You don't like High Fidelity?
He is Vanilla Ice Cream on film. That's what he is.
And Jack Black was almost the prototype hipster.
Yeah.
In that movie, because they run a record shop. If you've never seen High Fidelity, and he's like a music purist.
But the Cusacks in general just don't do it for me.
Really?
Yeah.
None of them?
No, they're just
not even Better Off Dead.
They're just kind of there.
Wow.
It's nothing. It's not
Not
good or
say
bad.
anything?
Just there. It's there.
Wait. Con Air.
Let me repeat.
What was it? 2012.
Was he in that?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one actually.
It opens with him in the limo, right?
Never saw it.
As the world starts to collapse
I will
around
never see that movie.
Yeah, High Fidelity.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Nice.
It's one of my favorites from the year 2000.
It was a fun time. They had that mixes up with Empire Records. It was like that whole record store kind of deal. You know what I mean?
Well, it was about 6 years after Empire Records.
I know, but like that same. It's still in the big picture. It's the same era of CDs and records.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That whole like the people love the soundtrack. The soundtrack is more listenable than ones today. Stuff like that. It throws in the same genre to me.
Well, I think whereas Empire Records was like the death of the record store, High Fidelity is almost like a love letter to a record store. I mean, there's the great scene where the
you're trying to take up for High Fidelity, aren't you?
I am. Well, I said it's one of my favorites from the year. Of course, I'm going to take up for it.
Can you quote it like I can about the Grinch?
I'm about to. Where the guy comes in and he's looking for I Just Called to Say I Love You.
Yeah.
That he wants to buy it for his daughter for her birthday. And he wants the single of it, the vinyl single. And Jack Black is, he's like, you don't want that song. Do you even know your daughter? Why would your daughter even want that? Is not what this young, vibrant 16-year-old girl wants. And you come in here. I just called to say I love you. And of course, the guy gets mad and leaves.
Yeah. I'll check it out again.
You should.
I saw it once 17 years ago.
Watch it with different eyes.
You think so? You love Back to the Future. I love Back to the Future. We have many people to thank for that, but you can't forget the director himself, Robert Zemeckis.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So in 2000, and we all love Tom Hanks as well, why not join those two together and make the fantastic movie known as Castaway? And this is a very special movie because I believe only a few people in cinema history can carry a whole movie this well by themselves alone on camera for that long.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's true.
Maybe Will Smith is close, but Tom Hanks, he perfected it.
Yeah. I think it's a challenge.
Oh, yeah.
And I respect actors that do that. But there is a contingent that when actors choose to do that, they're just being kind of self-centered and self-aggrandizing.
I don't think
I'm so important. I'm so good. You'll want to watch just me for
I don't
2
think
hours.
he begged Hollywood to please make a movie based on one person where I can play that role. I'm sure they came to him with his script. He's like, okay, I'll do it for that much.
Or have to drastically gain and lose weight.
I don't see actors of any caliber doing that. I think, as it works, I'm pretty sure they're presented a script and they have the choice to proceed with that or decline it. So whichever.
Oh, I agree with you.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
But I mean, like you said, the loss and gaining of weight, the story of a man lost on a deserted island by himself, starts off pretty much, for lack of a better term, a city boy, doesn't know much about wilderness or survival, and slowly becomes one with the land. Lives off the fat of the land for what, years? It was a while, right?
7 years, I think.
Yeah, it was a
Something
while.
like that.
And he becomes this mountainous grizzly man, long beard and hair, and can just grab fish by his bare hand pretty much, and knows how to live off the land. And it's just kind of cool to see that this evolution. What I described is in 2 sentences, but it makes it an enjoyable movie for 90 minutes. It's great.
That whole, I totally believe the idea that if you were put in that, and I guess it depends on what your personality is. Like, I'm a bit of an introvert, and I can be by myself and be fine. Could I be by myself? Maybe it was 4 years. It was 4 or 5.
It was some years. I know that.
Could I be by myself that long? I probably would start talking to inanimate objects and start having conversations. I talk to my dogs now.
Yeah.
I mean,
but they have emotions and they are living things that react back to you.
No, I make them talk back to me.
Oh, gotcha.
Like, I talk to them and then I create the voice for them to talk back to me.
That's a little bit different, yeah.
So I think if I was stuck on an island, that's exactly what I would do.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think, Wilson?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't like being on this island. Well, why don't we just get off this island? Well, I don't have any arms.
Yeah, that sounds pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you. But the loss of Wilson, that's a pretty sad moment, isn't it?
It is.
That's heart-wrenching.
Would you think you would ever be sad
A volleyball floating away.
Wilson!
Wilson! Wilson! I'm sorry! I'm sorry, Wilson! Wilson, I'm sorry! I'm sorry! Wilson! I can't! Wilson! Wilson!
And that was pretty.
I'm sorry.
That was brilliant how he cuts his hand and grabs the volleyball, and that it kind of creates a face or a person by his handprint with the blood, and he creates this object named Wilson because that's the name of the brand of the volleyball.
Or how about how Wilson frowns on the fact that he's trying to kill himself?
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, that is probably the darkest that movie. That is the darkest that movie gets.
Yeah,
I mean, he's having a conversation with a volleyball while he's trying to figure out if the vine and the rope that he's made will break his neck if he jumps off a cliff.
Yeah.
Like he's to that point.
Yeah.
I just want to kill myself.
He has a cavity he has to extract on his own. Yeah.
With a skate.
Oh, I forgot about this part. Oh, yeah.
I hate that scene.
The visuals of him slicing his feet, his bare feet on the rocks because they're so baby tender soft from wearing his dress shoes as a pilot.
Yeah.
But now he's got to learn to toughen them up.
He's got to take the shoes off the dress shoes of the pilot. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah,
and then the shoes show up.
Right.
And luckily he was on a FedEx plane.
Right.
Where those boxes just keep floating in at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Gives
he
him a lot of
left from
supplies.
the Nashville airport, I believe, right?
Memphis.
Yeah, Memphis. That's what it was.
Because FedEx is based in Memphis.
Right.
But yeah, there's a lot of there's a Tennessee Titans reference in there.
Yeah.
And all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. A great movie, Castaway is.
Yep. It's really good. I definitely recommend Castaway.
What else do you have?
I'm going to go with Best in Show, which is a Christopher Guest mockumentary. You know, same guy who did Waiting for Guffman and
Mighty Wind,
and Spinal Tap.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Spinal Tap might be my favorite, but Best in Show is close.
Yeah.
I love Best in Show.
It's great.
It's just so interesting that they were able to create these normal, everyday characters that are so entertaining in this mockumentary setting.
I love this. This is not a bash towards that at all because I love that movie and that subgenre. But is that comedy style of humor not funny anymore? Those just aren't popular. They don't happen. And if they did, I don't think today's crowd would latch on to it like they used to.
I don't think anybody was doing those except Christopher Guest back then.
Yeah. But I'm saying if you put one out now, would it be a hit like they were back in the 90s and early 2000s?
I mean, if it's good, it probably would.
Yeah.
But there's something special about Best in Show. Mm-hmm. It's a great cast. Fred Willard is hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
As the color guy at a dog show who knows nothing about dogs.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's the kind of dog you wouldn't want to meet in a dark alley, huh? Stuff like that.
Right.
So I would definitely recommend, if you've never seen Best in Show, it's great.
Yeah. If you've never seen it, if the term mockumentary is new to you, check that one out.
Go watch Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
This is Spinal Tap.
Best in Show is still my favorite.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
What was the one you mentioned? Mighty Win.
Yeah.
Mighty Win's pretty funny, too.
Yeah, it's good.
Did he do A Prairie Home Companion? Did Christopher Guest
well, he may have. I'm not sure.
direct that?
It's possible.
I need to look that up.
I'm not very sure.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Requiem for a Dream by chance? Once again, another movie that got me wanting to be in film school. That was it. That is just by Darren Aronofsky, a brilliant director of his style. We have a young Jared Leto, a young-ish Jennifer Connelly, many other actors and actresses in there.
Post-Rocketeer Jennifer Connelly.
Post-Rocketeer and career opportunities. But they're in there, and it follows multiple people's stories on addiction or sex or just any kind of crazy things happening. Even has some Patrick Swayze in there, I believe, right? Wasn't he in there for a bit?
Are you thinking of Donnie Darko?
Was Swayze not in there? Who's the actual? There's a salesman on TV.
Oh, maybe it is Patrick Swayze.
It's possible. It's been a while.
You may be white.
Or
right.
Anyway.
But you're definitely white.
But yes, Requiem for a Dream. Almost impossible to describe what it's about. Multiple stories, like I said, of people going up through the trials and tribulations and coming out maybe for better or for worse at the very end. And that's up for you to find out. It's once again, it's a heart-wrencher, but it's visually stimulating throughout.
Yeah.
It's the way it's shot.
They don't make movies like that anymore, Adam.
Nope, they sure don't.
They don't.
I'm a terrible artist, but I had in film school, I had to draw an actual, like a drawing of the blocking they used for the shots in that movie. It was tough, man. I couldn't do it. Almost like a storyboard for it.
Really?
Yeah, and I can't draw a proper stick man. It was bad.
Have you ever seen Traffic?
I have not. I hear I know it's an award winner.
Yeah.
I just see that, and I'm like, that's probably not my kind of movie.
It's about like the drug trade, and it kind of takes it from, the super rich and their cocaine to the dirt poor, and then the people involved in actual drug trade, and it's really good. Yeah. It's a really good movie, directed by Steven Soderbergh, and Michael Douglas is in it, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Benicio del Toro. Who am I forgetting? Don Cheadle.
Oh, yeah. That's the first time I've seen Don Cheadle.
Yeah, Don Cheadle's great in that movie.
Right, yeah.
Probably it's one of the heavy movies of the year 2000, but I think it did win awards.
Yeah,
I think it was
for sure.
The award-winning film, Traffic.
Award.
So, yeah, if you like a good drama.
Yeah. Who doesn't?
With some death.
Yeah.
Go watch Traffic.
I've got two more on my list. I think the last one we'll talk about we'll both agree on mostly. But before that, this one is one of my favorites of 2000, but it's on the bottom of my favorites, so hang with me. I'm a huge horror movie fan. I believe in the importance of a strong series, such as a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, such as Friday the 13th, or Halloween, or Nightmare on Elm Street.
Adam.
What?
No.
I believe Final Destination belongs on here. It started a whole franchise and a series of horror movies.
It is the original Final
Destination.
Exactly.
It began that. And I still enjoy it. I watch it to this day, and I think it's a well-made movie. It's a cool concept if you're not aware of how this works. Imagine someone, as well as a group of people, are meant by fate to die. This person has a vision beforehand of the way they'll all die, and then makes that stop the timeline. So in this situation here, Devon Sawa, the actor, sees he's going on, I believe, a European trip or some trip far away with his classmates. He has a vision right before they get on the plane. The plane goes in the sky, bursts in flames, and everyone on the plane perishes in the accident.
I don't want to close my eyes.
Different movie. So he wakes up. He tells frantically everyone on the plane, do not get on there. It's going to explode in flames. So he and about 10-ish people of his closest friends follow him and are almost mad at him because they can't get on the plane. And as they're bickering over why he made them miss their flight, in the background you see the flight go up they were going to be on, explode into a million pieces. And from that, piece by piece by piece by piece, the actual passengers on the plane are being killed randomly by death itself, because that's just the way fate works out. Mm-hmm. Final Destination 2000
would make a great movie.
Yeah,
maybe not 10.
So think about that. If I came to you with that as like a script I was going to make, it sounds kind of cool.
It does sound cool. It just
I think it worked.
Yeah, it just was not implemented very well.
You don't think so? I think it worked out.
But to be honest with you, I thought you were going to say, I am a fan of Shriek, if you know what I did last Friday the 13th.
To be fair,
which was one of those parody movies.
Right, it was terrible with Tiffany Amber Thiessen.
Yes,
yeah.
Yep.
The killer may be silent, but he's still deadly.
Did you hear that?
Oh, excuse me.
Shriek. If you know what I did last Friday the 13th.
This never happened.
No, I just ate.
Scary Movie did come out in 2000. I didn't put that because I don't like what that's done.
Right.
It is a horror parody movie, and it's got a whole series to that, but I'm not a fan of those movies.
Scream 3 also came out in the year 2000.
Right, yeah, with some Silent Bob and Jay action in that.
Yep, that's true. They have a new movie coming out?
They do, because Mallrats 2 and Clerks 3 fell through. So now Kevin Smith is doing that. Did you know those fell through?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, that's what he put in his Facebook post. So in Mallrats 2, no one wanted to do that as a movie. No one picked it up, so he made that as a TV series.
Right.
He's pitched it to 6 networks. Not one is bit at all, so he gave up on that. Mallrats 2 isn't going to happen.
Okay.
Clerks 3, he said one of his main 4 actors bailed on him and didn't want to do it, so he axed that.
Was it Rosario Dawson?
Didn't say who it was.
Yeah.
So now he's going to do a reboot on Jay and Silent Bob, where he and Jason Mewes themselves get word from Hollywood they're wanting to reboot Jay and Silent Bob, so they go back and try to stop it. What he says, it's a long Facebook and social media
wasn't
post.
That the plot of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back? Is they're going to make a movie about them, so they try to go to Hollywood to stop it?
Like a movie, not a reboot of that. So what happened, and this is more like a breaking the fourth wall, because he says in his post, he doesn't own Mallrats, he doesn't own Dogma, he doesn't own Chasing Amy, he doesn't own Clerks. He owns none of that. Miramax and other production companies, he has to work with them to own that. What he does own are the characters of Jay and Silent Bob, so he can do what he wants, when he wants, with those 2 properties.
And maybe get the people involved that want to be involved.
Yeah.
Not Ben
But to
Affleck.
make another Mallrats or another Clerks or another whatever, he's got to have a lot of people's yes on that.
Yeah, I got you.
And people just aren't really feeling Kevin Smith right now. But now he's trying the reboot of Jay and Silent Bob, which I think it's scary. That's a bad name for it because people think negative, but it's kind of a play on itself. It's not a reboot. They're trying to stop the reboot happening.
Do we really want to see middle-aged Jay and Silent Bob?
I do.
Okay.
Hey, if it's not the Great North or whatever trilogy, I'm good.
Moose Jaws?
Yeah, don't give me that. Give me more Jay and Silent Bob.
The last one I have officially on my list, and then we'll go through some of the others, because there were some fun movies that came out in the year 2000. X-Men.
Yeah, got to talk about that.
Directed by Bryan Singer.
This is where it all begins again.
If no one is equipped to oppose them, humanity's days could be over.
You're a mutant. The whole world out there is full of people that hate and fear you, and you're wasting your time trying to protect them.
Logan, help us. Fight with us.
We're not what you think. Not all of us.
I mean, you had many comic movies before that. Even Blade was part of that deal, but this is when it really kicked off.
Like, Bryan Singer really wanted to make a really good X-Men movie.
Yeah, and he almost did it.
And he did almost do it. X-Men is pretty good.
At the time, I loved it.
For the time, it was the best we had.
I left the theater in shock and awe, and it was great at the time, but you look back now, some of the character choices, some of the actor choices weren't the best. The costuming wasn't the best. Maybe some origin stories weren't the best, some special effects. But overall, for the time, it was solid.
I remember in the mid-'90s, and I think it was Wizard magazine that would do this. They would do the Dreamcasting. If they made a movie about X-Men, who would you want to see play Professor X?
Yeah.
And everyone, for years, always said, it's got to be Patrick Stewart. Patrick Stewart is Professor X. Mm-hmm. And in 2000, we went to the theaters and watched an X-Men movie where Patrick Stewart was Professor X.
Yeah.
And Femke Jensen was
Jean Grey. And the classic Hugh Jackman.
Was
Do you think they
Wolverine.
knew at that casting, in that first installment, it was still kind of, and that's why I left semi-pissy. Even when I left that theater, it was still kind of Wolverine and the X-Men.
It was Wolverine.
You think they
and
had
the
plans
X-Men.
of all those sequels and the spin-offs, and he's got his own trilogy to himself, and
I don't know.
Even in non-X-Men movies, they're having references to Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. You think they saw that would happen?
Oh, no way.
No?
No way. 17 years later, we're getting the last Wolverine movie
He
with
looks
Hugh
so
Jackman.
young. He looks so young there in 2000.
Uh-huh. Yeah, which is funny because just a few years ago he did, Days of Future Past,
Right,
where
yeah.
he traveled and met his younger self
Yeah.
that looked way older than his 2000 self.
Right. And much more muscled now he's gotten as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Big
He's
time.
not Hugh jacked man
No.
in the original X-Men. I mean, he's muscled, but yeah, I mean, it was cool, it was all the stuff you loved about the X-Men in a movie.
Yeah.
Right down to the jet.
The Blackbird.
Blackbird, thank you. Yeah. So I still say, as far as like superhero movies, X-Men's pretty good. Now, the ones that followed, it starts getting questionable.
I agree. X2 didn't have a proper villain besides Stryker, which to me is not a proper villain. That's a person with no abilities. Not scary at all for mutants. X3 Last Stand, we won't talk about that one.
No.
But the newer stuff is good.
Yeah. First Class is good. Yeah. Well, the Wolverine wasn't good.
See, I've not...
No. I'm sorry. X-Men Origins Wolverine wasn't good.
Still haven't seen either of those two.
Wolverine is good.
I need to see that before I see Logan because I'm really hyped about Logan here.
Yeah. So the only X-Men movie between X3 and First Class was X-Men Origins Wolverine?
Yeah.
That was it?
Mm-hmm.
That was several years later, wasn't it? When was X3? 2006?
No, it was like 03, 04?
I think it was later than that.
Was it later than that? Really?
I think it was 2005, 2006.
Huh.
But yeah, so you can almost say that the steam that it was building, that has built over the last decade, or longer than that, almost 2 decades, was the seeds were sown with X-Men. I would go so far as to say it was actually Blade. Because Blade was taken very seriously.
I guess so, but most people didn't know. Like, that wasn't a household name. Honestly, I was a comic fan, but I had no idea Blade was a comic character. I didn't know that.
But for these mainstream heroes.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up with X-Men, the cartoon, and the comics itself, and the toys.
Isn't that funny, too, that you had X-Men was pretty mainstream in 2000.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Everybody knew from the cartoon, especially if you grew up watching the cartoon in the 90s. You knew all these characters. The only thing you were asking yourself is, where's Jubilee?
Right, exactly.
And now we ran the gambit to where all the mainstream heroes got popular, because a couple of years later we'd have the first Spider-Man movie. And so Spider-Man and then Superman would come on. They would try the reboot of Superman with Bron Singer. And then you go through all the mainstream heroes. And then Marvel was so good at it. Once they started Iron Man and the Avengers and the MCU, they were so good at it that eventually they could introduce characters no one had heard of.
Yeah.
And people still went to watch these movies.
Or cared.
Yeah. That's true. Hey, who cared about Star-Lord?
Yeah.
Before 2013.
Exactly.
Nobody.
I mean, yeah, Rocky Raccoon, Groot, these names, especially from Guardians of the Galaxy. People knew about it, but honestly, the mass majority didn't know or care, but now they love them.
I would say Doctor Strange almost falls. I mean, I've always liked Doctor Strange, but I wouldn't say he's a mainstream comic book character.
Right.
And I'm not talking about independent comics. I get that a lot. Well, they're all mainstream. The only true non-mainstream is independent. Okay, whatever.
Mainstream Marvel or DC characters.
I'm talking top of mind.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally.
Anything else that you can think of from the year 2000 you want to mention?
That's all I can think about, really. I'm
really surprised you didn't mention Me, Myself, and Irene.
Thought about that. I can only have one Jim Carrey installment for each countdown, so
right.
had to be the Grinch.
Nutty Professor 2, The Clumps.
See, I love the first one, but 2 doesn't hold up to me. They tried to recreate that classic dinner scene. Didn't work out so well.
Something came out in 2000 that kind of started. I mean, it was actually a phenomenon for several years, the better part of a decade.
Yeah.
Like the original Kings of Comedy came out in 2000.
Oh yeah.
And it was the success of the original Kings of Comedy that I think they did 2 follow-ups.
Yeah,
or 3.
The Queens of Comedy, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
happened.
then you had the original Queens of Comedy.
Yeah.
And then you had the Blue Collar Comedy tour. So you can thank D.L. Hughley and Steve Harvey for the fact that...
Don't forget about Big Ced.
Oh, that's Cedric the Entertainer. That, Jeff Foxworthy and Larry the Cable Guy are relevant today.
Now, there was a 4th one too, right?
The Queens?
No, the Kings. Wasn't there a 4th one?
Was there?
Who was that? From the first Transformers movie, Bobby Bermuda, like the country, minus the diarrhea. Bernie Mac.
He
was wasn't he part of?
Oh, yes.
He was. Yeah.
Yes.
That's one of the funniest guys I've ever seen in my life.
Bernie Mac is hilarious.
I love Bernie Mac.
If you like Bernie Mac, you're gonna laugh.
Uh-huh.
Go watch the Oceans movie.
Really? Is he in there?
Yes.
Oh man.
Like he's part of the original Oceans team.
Really?
And he is great in
every
one
of
those movies.
He makes me laugh hard.
Bernie Mac is really. I love the Bernie Mac show.
Yeah, that was good.
Because
I forgot about that.
Most of the time with Bernie Mac, I think his genius was you didn't think he was doing a routine. He was just telling you how he really felt.
Yeah.
Especially those shots he would do before the Bernie Mac show, talking about his family and stuff. What else in the year 2000? We talked about Danny Darko.
Right.
Or Danny Darko.
Didn't you go to school with him?
What? Donnie Darko.
Right.
A couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
That was a 2000.
That was a great one.
The remake of Shaft, starring Samuel L. Jackson, was in 2000. Also, Norm Macdonald had a big screen movie. Screwed. I was never a fan of Screwed.
You know, I don't like that guy.
Yeah. Oh, what is that dog pee all over my face?
How is he funny? I don't think that's funny.
I don't know. Shanghai Noon.
You're digging deep here, aren't you?
The Kung Fu movie.
Yeah.
Or, is it fair to call it a Kung Fu movie?
Yeah, it's a Kung Fu movie.
Even if it has Jake Owen in it?
Yeah.
And Lucy Liu was in it.
Or was it Owen Wilson?
Owen Wilson. What did I say, Jake Owen?
Yeah, but yeah.
The country music singer Jake Owen was in that movie.
Don't know who that is.
Owen Wilson, Lucy Liu, and Jackie Chan.
Right.
I think I was thinking Jackie Chan, Owen Wilson.
Jackie Owen.
And I got Jake Owen.
What happened a lot around 2000, it was weird. Not necessarily a year 2000 thing, but the people hitting the new millennium thought it sounded cool to add 2000 to movies, even if it didn't come out in 2000. So there was, I know, Dracula 2000, Blues Brothers 2000. Many, many other movies had sequels or remakes or reboots with the brand. Even Heavy Metal 2000 happened.
That's true.
Many 2000s happen, and sometimes, most of the time, not in the year 2000.
Road Trip 2000?
Did that happen? I think that was actually 2000, right?
Yeah, it was. I think I went to the theater to see that movie.
I bought it on DVD.
Did you?
Yeah.
Because you were a big fan of?
Tom Green.
Uh-huh. I had a huge crush on Amy Smart.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's where you're going.
That's why I went to see
I didn't know who that was until that movie.
Till Road Trip?
But then I knew her.
Yeah. And then, what's the guy's name that's in there?
Breckin Meyer?
Breckin Meyer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And DJ Qualls, he's from around us here, you know.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
That was a good movie-ish. First
and
time.
Then Breckin Meyer and Amy Smart, a few years later, would reteam.
Clueless?
No.
Because he was in the original. She was in the...
Rat Race.
Oh, yeah.
Rat Race.
Because she was in the Clueless TV show, and he was in the Clueless movie. I know that.
Oh, that's true.
He was the skater boy that was first with Brittany Murphy. Because she loved Elton at first, and he was rolling with the homies, and she goes back to her roots.
Wow, you know a lot about this.
I love Clueless.
The movie or the TV show?
Movie, all day. You don't like Clueless?
I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I've never seen Clueless.
What?
I've never seen it.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's fantastic cinema.
I think I know the story.
Well, it's funny.
Yeah.
It's good.
I think I get Clueless just from the promo.
No. Skip traffic, watch Clueless.
Okay. And on that note,
there you go. That's your first Pod Casserole for you.
That is the first Pod Casserole.
You just got your nice bubbly cheese melted topping of skip traffic and watch Clueless for you. You like that?
Well, Adam, if you like this episode, how would you find more about Pod Casserole?
Of course, on adamandjp.com and all social media at adamandjp. Don't forget iTunes, Google Play, and iHeartRadio, and always on the ESO network as well, you know.
So how do we close the show?
I guess with my usual closing but different words. Should I do that?
I think it should be Eat Your Pod Casserole.
Okay, we can do that. You want me to say that?
Yes, I want you to say that.
Eat Your Pod Casserole.
This has been a production of the Adam and JP family of on-demand talk radio.
AdamandJP.com.
Right now.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network, your station for all things geek, classic, current, and beyond. Be part of the crew at ESONetwork.com.